So once again, we're looking at my victory binding of the American Woman's Cookbook from 1942, Wartime edition. This is fast becoming one of my favorite books. I recently put some binding tape on it to cover a tear there, but then this cropped up, so I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. I'm thinking some acid-free tape right there. Anyway, so it's got this section on wartime cookery, and within this, there are menu plans. And I decided I was going to do a whole menu plan today, or just for one meal. I might do the other meals from this day later, but this, I'm doing the supper. You'll note it's got like these little numbers that come down here. So if you don't want to do the oyster stew, it gives the option of clam chowder or corn chowder, or a soup made from scraps. I went with the corn chowder, the parsley toast triangles, and the apple Betty. Now the corn chowder is on page 184. Yes, I marked that. So it's 3 slices of salt pork, 1 medium onion sliced, 4 medium potatoes sliced, 2 cups of water, 6 large soda crackers, I went with saltines, 2 cups of milk, 2 cups cooked corn, fresh or canned, I went with canned, and a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And it's cut salt pork into cubes and brown in a large saucepan. Add onion and cook until tender and lightly browned. Add potatoes and water and cook until potatoes are tender. Soak crackers in milk. Add corn, salt, pepper, and soaked crackers to the cooked potato mixture. Heat to boiling. Serves 4. So I went with the Brown Betty number 2 for this. It was 1 cup of breadcrumbs, 3½ cups chopped apple or other fruit, 1/2 cup of honey, 1 cup of water, 1 apple, wash, cored, and slice to form rings. Mix the crumbs and chopped apples or other fruit and place in deep baking dish. Bring the honey and water to a boil and pour over the fruit and bread mixture. Sprinkle a few dry breadcrumbs on top and lay the apple rings around the edges. Bake in a slow oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit as directed for number 1. So that was about 30 to 45 minutes. So I will admit I chose the corn chowder because I had all the ingredients on hand. You see the cut up salt pork there is left over from when I made the baked beans, and all the other stuff is pantry staples for me. So per the instructions, I started by cooking up the cut up salt pork before adding the sliced onions. The onions are cooked until tender and just starting to brown. Then you add the cup of water and sliced potatoes and set that to simmer until the potatoes are tender. While the potatoes are cooking, I put the saltines in the milk to soak. My best guess is this is supposed to act as a thickener for the soup. Once the potatoes are nice and tender, you add the corn and the crackers that were soaking in milk along with the milk and stir that up to simmer for just a little bit longer. And there we have a pretty quick and easy corn chowder. And per the menu, I served it with what they called parsley toast triangles. All this is some softened butter mixed with some fresh chopped parsley, which I got from the garden. The parsley, not the butter. The butter came from the fridge. And I cut these into quarters and had that with my corn chowder. This actually made a really good supper. I will definitely do this again. And then it's time for dessert, which is a apple Betty or a brown Betty. And it was just chop up, it was 3.5 cups worth of chopped apple. That turned out to be right at 3 of my gala apples. And you're supposed to mix the 3.5 cups of chopped apple with 1 cup of breadcrumbs, but I didn't have a full cup. I had like 3/4 of a cup, and I was not about to make more breadcrumbs just for this recipe. So I just crushed up some saltines. You can still see like a few pieces that are not fully crushed. And then it was a cup of water with a 1/2 cup of honey set to simmer, and then poured over the apple mixture. Now, while the honey and water was coming up to a simmer, I cored and sliced an apple to go on top of the apple Betty. I'm going to say I don't core apples very neatly. I'm really not the most graceful of people. And then I arranged the apple slices on top as neatly as well I can. And yeah, I forgot to turn the video on when I was pouring the honey mixture over. But this is what it looks like when it was baked. I was a little concerned. I thought it was going to be too liquidy. But after I put it into a bowl, it was perfect. And oh my gosh, this was so good. I think this is the first time I've ever had a brown Betty. It was super easy. But this Sunday supper meal plan was very easy and quick, and definitely worth doing. If you're enjoying watching me explore my vintage cookbooks, please like and subscribe.